Hey everyone, welcome back to Automation. So today I thought I would go ahead and dig deep into the comments of the past and pull out some ideas that I just never really addressed before. Now I want to make it very clear with this video, I don't take requests for builds, at least not anymore. I used to back when my channel was brand new, or not brand new, but brand new to automation. I haven't been taking requests since my first few automation videos, but people still seem to ask for builds of different things. And I'm thinking that this video is probably going to make that problem worse. Either way, let's go ahead and start off with the first one. I'm going to be building 3 today. So this comment says, I challenge you to build a Japanese word drift car, and then they sent a huge link to an image. And if we click on that link, we get, oh no. Okay, so looking at these cars, they basically have very exaggerated features. It appears that most of them are based on the Toyota Crown. So we'll be attempting to make something with a ridiculous chin like that, and then a multi-tiered wing, wide body, all of that stuff. I'm gonna fly through these because otherwise it's gonna take forever. I think I said before, but I'm planning on doing 3 of these, so yeah, I don't want this to be a 3-hour video. Let's get into this. Now I will say I am in the open beta, so I am a little bit limited in terms of what cars I can use for this, and also what options I have for mods and such, so it's going to be tricky to try and get the exhaust to fly out of the hood like this. I have a one that I'm specifically going to model this after, and I can tell you right now, it is not going to look like it at all, and I'm also going to fake my own specs in because I don't want to look them up for this. Okay, so I think I'm going to have to reinterpret this because I'm probably not going to be able to get it exactly. I'm going to go ahead and use this 1984 body, and I'll drop my tech down to 1990. That's good enough for us. Yeah, I think this is probably going to work out. It doesn't need to be exact. We're just going to make something in the style of. And because I want this thing to be mega low, I'm going double wishbone on both the front and the back. That'll let us get it down real low. Engine, I don't really care. So I'm just going to give it we'll give it a 90-degree cast iron V8. That seems like something that these cars would have. Oh yeah, and this is a drift car as well, so it's got to be rear-wheel drive. We'll make it, push rods, American style. And because all of a sudden we've got American style, let's quickly just turn this up and make it 8.4 liters. Yeah, why not? Already some of you are mad because I'm gonna make this something that it is not even close to what it's supposed to be, but don't worry about it. We're mostly going for style over everything else. Okay, it makes a ridiculous amount of power, and I barely did anything. That's 356 horsepower, goodness. But we're gonna have to lower down that RPM to satisfy. Yeah, I don't think any of these engines are gonna be clean, by the way. They're all gonna be a little rough. Okay, there we go, 400 horsepower, ridiculous mid-range torque. That's good enough for me. It's gonna be able to drift. And that is also carbureted, unsuper leaded. So there we go. Okay, so looking at the actual car here, it seems like we're gonna be able to fake in that bumper just fine. As well, it seems like the car in the picture is a lot older than this one, which is fine. It just means I'm gonna have to try and make some adjustments for it. I was hoping that I'd be able to pull this out. It looks like I can. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit better then. We need wide fenders on this lad. It's not going to quite look like the picture, but we'll just work with what we got in automation, and then we'll just make those part of the body. Okay, never mind. We have a mod version of this that's even better. Unfortunately, it is a black top, but we can change that, and then we'll just make it all the same color. It looks like it's going to be yellow. Oh, there it is. That's exactly what I was hoping for. We can pull that out. It doesn't come out quite as far as the actual car, but we'll work on that. Wow, this yellow is hard to match. It's not pearlescent, that's not the issue, it's just that it's hard to get that same this kind of orangey depth to it. I don't know. That's probably as close as I'm gonna get right there. So for these builds, I'm probably not gonna take the time to paint the entire front end blue. That's just a lot of work. In this case though, I will try and do a little bit with it. Oh no, never mind, hold on. Yeah, okay, the top is now yellow, that's what it's supposed to be. Okay, it's fixture time. I do have a couple of mods, I guess, even though the open beta is still a little bit restrictive. This is going to be quite tough to get this to work. but I'm gonna give it my best here. Let me see if I can't just make that massive chin piece first, because that stands out quite a bit. Okay, goodness, we do have the Super GT kit. This is gonna help a lot. So to be honest, I'm kind of filled with regret here because this is incredibly difficult. I need to figure out what kind of fixture I can use to pull all the way out the front there, but while I'm thinking about that, I was thinking about some other things like the double wing, and, whoa, actually, you know what, let's just kind of add the basic car fixtures on there first, and then that will hopefully bring the car together. Oh yeah, the exhaust is also extremely important, so we're gonna have to drag that lad all the way out the top and then over the back. It's probably not gonna actually work, but hey, we'll try it. Okay, so we don't actually have the right kind of mirrors that I want, but I think I'm gonna go with these ones. It doesn't look right at all, but I don't know, it just kind of adds to the weirdness of this car, because once we're done with it, it's gonna be really weird. Okay, I think I just discovered the best mod fixture I've ever seen in my life, and from here on out, I believe I'm gonna be using this on every car I make, because how could you not? Okay, I legitimately tried on this. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's been a while, and this is what I have come up with so far. It doesn't look very good. Okay, let me try and finish this off and I'll get back to you on the finished product. Alright, so here's the finished design. I legitimately spent almost an hour on this. So this video is going to take a while to make, but yeah, this is all kinds of beautiful. I really did try. Let me go ahead and point out some of the details here. So I'm using the Super GT kit to kind of make it a little bit wider on the sides, and that's kind of around all the front and the back. This is actually a piece off of a fire truck. It's kind of like the back end of it, but it works perfectly as our massive front diffuser, so I decided I'd use that. Plus I'm using bumper bars and various other fixtures to try and fill in this space to make it look a little bit pointed. It doesn't work that well. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. It turns out that hood mounted exhaust is actually extremely difficult to make, so I have this here. It's just kind of the stubby version. I wanted to make it come all the way up and out, but I don't have any pipes that'll actually do that. Closest thing I have is this, and it just basically pipes it straight into the cabin like this. So I figured that wasn't going to work out too well. On the back end we have the real exhaust. These are just exits, I don't know, they're like race car style. This is the fuel cap back here, although it doesn't make any sense because it's blocked by the wing. I didn't know what to do for lights, so I just kind of put these ones on. That's it for that. Our multi-layered wing is all one piece. It's just I kind of cheated a little bit and used a pre-made thing, and yeah, that's it for now. If we take a look at the graphs, top speed 294, manual 5-speed rear-wheel drive. I put a manual locker on it so we can lock the back diff because this is supposed to be a drift car, and also it is pretty deep into oversteer territory, which is fine with me. I tried to make the wheels really small, but unfortunately they started to blow out, so this is our basically minimum size. Over here in brakes, I mean, I guess I can make these a little bit bigger so it actually stops. That's probably for the better. And we actually do have some downforce. Our massive wing is helping us out, but yeah, everything is a little bit screwed up here. I'm really not concerned about it at all. I think this is going to be a-okay. Oh yeah, I put on some thick camber as well. You can definitely see that if you look on the sides. So yeah, that's that. That's the first build. Let's go ahead and test it out in Beam. Alright, so here is this car in BeamNG. It actually looks pretty much exactly as you would suspect it would, which is a good thing. I don't particularly care about anything other than if it drifts well or not. I didn't really take a lot of time to set this one up, so I'm here to warn you right now. I've been testing it. I drove it around the map once in an attempt to drift it as much as possible, and it's pretty okay. It's not amazing, but it is indeed a drifter. It's got wheel spin in every gear, and even with the back diff locked, you got enough power to spin these wheels, so that's pretty much all I was looking for. I don't know why, but I really like this one. I think it's the front end of it, actually. I think it just came out really well. Let me know what you think of it. But yeah, on to the next one. Alright, after that massive drifting success, it's on to the next build of the day. This one is dual build with the most amount of turbo lag possible. You know, I think I might be able to do that. Okay, this one has no body specifications at all, so I'm just gonna choose something completely at random. but we'll make it 2020. You know what, I don't think I've ever used this body before. It's just this tiny hatchback. Let's go ahead and use that. And all this stuff in here doesn't matter at all. Okay, here's where things get interesting. So we want to turbo this, obviously. I'm going to make this car front wheel drive, which is going to be a disaster, by the way. It is a transverse. Let's do inline 4. And yeah, let's do cast components as well. I'm going to make it a 2.1 liter, and we'll make it a dual overhead cam with 4 valves, just I guess the more modern stuff, and I don't really care about this stuff either. Alright, turbo, this is going to be an eBay turbo style. We'll make the intercooler whatever we need it to be, but the turbo itself is going to be huge, just a massive lad. Okay, so the curve is actually looking pretty good right now. That's not terrible. I mean, it has no torque or power low end, but up high it's fine. That's gonna be fine. But I want to make it worse, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Now, in order to make the turbo lag, we need to do some other things to it. Essentially, we're gonna specifically engineer turbo lag into this by increasing the increasing and decreasing the sliders until we can get it into a good position. Okay, so I'm running into a problem where when I want to make turbo lag, I have trouble with it, and then when I don't want to, I absolutely can achieve it quite easily. But as of right now, this is not as easy as I thought. Okay, all I'm gonna do now is make the engine worth like $1 million, which is fine. Basically, I just increase the quality sliders on everything, and we'll go ahead and try to make max power with it, because max power generally means maximum turbo lag. From what I've found in my experience, you can turn up the cam profile all the way when you're trying to make maximum power, and you can also turn up things like ignition timing and fuel all the way, because you're gonna need it. Okay, that's looking a little bit better there. That's the kind of lag that I'm looking for. Let's see, 10,000 RPM. Oh no. Well, this engine kind of hates itself, and it's probably going to explode because it's got such high RPM, but I think it'll be fine. Let's just go ahead and make it a full race intake. Oh, that did not help at all. Okay, with this current setup, it very happily makes 617 horsepower, and it also happens to have a ridiculous torque curve where the power is only at the top end, and the pistons and other internals want to die at all times, as you do. Yeah, seems like I got the best stuff on there. It's gonna be this that kind of makes it work at high RPM. I don't know... Oh, you know what? If I do this, it's probably just gonna be infinitely better. And there we go, 678 horsepower. I upped the displacement quite a bit. We can also get probably a touch more power out of it too. It's a little bit dangerous. It's not quite as bad as I thought it was gonna be, and I'm almost disappointed. Oh wait, never mind. Oh, we can make it so much worse now. Okay, it's down to 292 horsepower because I just broke it by increasing the turbo size. Oh, it looks so janky. This thing is gonna be front wheel drive, so get ready for some wheel spin. You know, I don't know how I did it, but I made it worse. Although slightly better. 600 horsepower, 10,300 RPM, and that is one heck of a curve. It makes 0 power down low, all of it up high in the RPMs. It's basically a motorcycle, but I think I'm good with that. Everything is tuned, not super well, but well enough, I'll say. It's kind of on the edge between absolutely broken and... yeah, I mean, that kind of works. Okay, never mind, I made it even worse. It's up to 811 horsepower with some compression decreases and some intercooler increases. The compressor and the turbine are restrictive, but that's as big as they get. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, let's see if we can make this even worse. Okay, so in the end I ended up getting, I think I'm at 837 horsepower, and that's gonna have to do it. This is a very expensive 2.75 liter inline 4. As for the design, it's kind of just a Yaris, so I'm going to put the most basic fixtures possible on it. It's not going to have much detail at all, but it'll just be enough to get it to pass the basics. Well, after quite a while, I think I finished with the design. It kind of just looks like a normal car from the back end. Just simple stuff like the small exhaust here downturned. Not too easy to see, which is a good thing. And then, I don't know, it's just kind of, it's just a basic looking car, but as soon as you kind of come around the side, oh by the way, it's got hubcaps, things take a turn for the worst because the intercooler is sticking out the front of it, so I decided to kind of modify the front end a little bit. I've got holes specifically cut out for the intercooler intakes, and also the actual car's intake as well is right there in the light, so it kind of messes it up a little bit, but hey. that's what you get. Now, in order to make this drive, I haven't really done much. Wheel spin is to be expected, probably not going to be able to change that because this car is front wheel drive and it has 837 horsepower. Yeah, so overall this one's a little bit nuts. It was supposed to be a Yaris and then it turned into an 837 horsepower, 10,300 RPM turbo lag monster, which also happens to be front wheel drive. But I don't know, none of these builds are going to be great. Let's try it out in Beam, see what it does. Alright, so here's the turbo lag car. This one, interestingly, the intercooler didn't come out with any texture, and neither did the license plate, but you know what? That's fine with me. I think it turned out pretty okay. I want to tell you right now that it does indeed have a lot of turbo lag, like a lot. Here's a demonstration. Okay, all I'm going to do, I'm going to hit the throttle. Obviously, we're going to wheel spin because that's what this thing does best. But once we get moving, you can kind of tell you don't actually make power until 7,000 RPM, so you kind of just build up slowly, and then all of a sudden, it just goes boom, and then you die. Okay, slightly better example, if we start off in second, it doesn't really make any power until the late end of things, so once you get up into the 5th gear, I don't know, it's still wheel spinning. That's all I can tell you. Actually, it does have a 6th gear, I totally forgot that I put that on there. Now this is some major understeer, my goodness. You know, I think I minorly failed on making this have extreme turbo lag. It does have a lot of turbo lag, but it could be worse. I think I'm gonna have to try this one again at some point and try and make something that is truly awful in terms of turbo lag. My design philosophy was pretty much just, I'm gonna put the biggest turbo on this car that I possibly can, and I want to see how much that does to it. And it turns out, it does a decent amount. Okay, again after another disaster, let's go ahead and do the last one for today. This one says, do an aquatic car build. Now when I think aquatic car, I happen to think ancient old car like this. I think what we're going to be doing is taking this car and then just kind of giving it that old boat car style feature list. If we could do propellers out the back, that would be great, but I'm going to start off with this. Now, a car like this actually does have to be thematic in terms of its materials and such, because otherwise it's gonna sink. So we'll make it out of aluminum, we'll make it a monocoque chassis, and the other material here is gonna have to be corrosion resistant, because otherwise this thing would rust away. Now I think classically these cars had 2 engines. I would have an engine to drive it, and then like a boat motor on the back of it basically, or some way to transfer the power from here to back there. This is going to be the old style way, so it's probably just going to have a separate engine in the back. I'm just going to design it as if it was a regular car in the engine department. Okay, new project. Let's make it an inline 4. We'll make it nice and light, an aluminum inline 4. Power is going to be coming from a 1 liter, make it rear wheel drive as well. We don't need anything fancy on this. So immediately it makes 4 horsepower. I think we're off to an excellent start here. Let me just turn up that fuel. Actually, no, compression down. Apparently we can't have this much compression in 1960. Okay, 34 horsepower, that's pretty much where I thought it was going to end up, so I'm actually happy with that. Let me just tune it a bit better. Alright, 42 horsepower, 5,000 RPM, that actually sounds really darn good to me. I believe that's going to be perfect. Alright, so let's go with the coupe variant of this, and I don't think I'm actually going to modify this body at all. Unfortunately, it does come with bumpers, which is a bit weird, so we'll just have to try and color those something different, but other than that, this is pretty much exactly what it's supposed to look like. Now every time I think of these cars, I think of them as white, so it's going to be white, like extremely white. The bumpers themselves, let's make them chrome, because that, that just makes more sense. And this would have been a luxury car, so let's chrome the wheels as well. Chrome everything. Okay, this car is blindingly bright, but I think it's time that I put some lights on it. Will make it even more blinding. I'm gonna go ahead and warn you right now, my old car designs absolutely suck, so get ready for some true terror if you're into these kind of cars. Actually, oh, I'm liking these lights right here. I can never remember if these signals were amber at this point, 1960s, but I'll just leave those like that. Okay, never mind. They don't look quite how I would expect. Now the thing about this car is the intake for it would have to be like way up here. Wow, that is so bright I can't even see. But the intake would have to be up here, So there's only going to be like a small grill on this spot, and then everything else here is kind of expected to be underwater, so I guess we can assume the water line would be just below the lights perhaps, just somewhere around here, so it's not completely drowning the driver. Here's what I'm going to do, just grab one of these pieces here, just kind of drag it along, shrink it down a touch because this is supposed to be kind of unique, and then it's, oh, a little unique, we'll put it that way. Okay, so far it just looks like a car. There isn't really much going on with it, which is fine. That's, oh, you know what, I can't stand this, I'm gonna change it. There we go, now it's just a happy lad. But sooner or later I'm gonna have to get to the hard stuff, and that would be trying to make it so that this thing actually kind of functions, or looks like it could potentially function as a boat. Underneath, we're definitely going to need like a full tray under there, so we'll try to simulate that a little bit. But in the back is where things are very important because, well, this is where the back engine would be, so we're going to have to do separate exhaust for that too. Now, there is actually a way to make cars float in BeamNG, and I mean, we can mess with the gravity as well to make that happen, but I'm just going to pretend that this one does, and we'll drive it into the water and demonstrate its seaworthiness. Okay, so I'm gonna give it 2 exhaust pipes. I mean, actual boat motors do exhaust into the water. That makes sense, right? One of them is for the engine, the other one's for the boat motor. And what that means as well is that this thing would be terrible in the rain, as I'm going to have to put an intake on the top of it for the boat motor in the back. It just makes sense. Wow, this white is still so blindingly bright. I do not know what to do with it. I'm very tempted to just leave it though. Let's go ahead and do some of this other stuff. Now the back ends on cars like these would have been very, very simple, so I'm just kind of using very basic pieces. And we've got to put a license plate on it too. That's gonna have to be up high and out of the water. I honestly feel like I'm failing drastically at this one. I don't really know how to make this one any more aquatic than it already is. Propellers and stuff I guess we could try, but as of right now, I'm really not sure. Okay, I think I can put a little bit more detail into this. Let's put the fuel cap up here on the back. Period correct one would be something more like this. That just makes a little bit of sense, because you'd have to fill up the engine, or the boat motor fuel as well, and then this is also out of the way of the water, so it wouldn't be on the side. Something I was thinking of that we could do is kind of use this bottom space. It's kind of unfortunate that the bumper is there, because it gets in the way of what I'm trying to do, but I want to add a propeller system, and we also should do a rudder of some kind, because otherwise it's not going to be able to steer. Okay, so here's my amazing idea. Basically just grab one of these and then break the entire body with it. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit more what I was after. But if we make it translucent and then we put it up a couple layers, then we can put stuff behind it. Oh yeah, it looks like that rudder is going to be made out of body morphing pieces as well, so things are going to get a bit weird here as we finish this off. Okay, I made this really janky looking propeller out of 2 X's, so I'm going to leave that. It's so bad, but you know what, it's fine. It'll work for this. Aquatic car, here we come. And now the rudder, that's something that is extremely important. I'm going to try using these body molding pieces to make that. I don't think it's actually going to work, but these large wing pieces here are definitely possibilities. If they would just kind of fit on the body nicer, that is. Looks like the Super GT mod is actually going to pull through for us here on the rudder. So I'll just put that right there. It's chopping through the propeller, which doesn't make any sense, but it's almost the best that I can do with what I've got here. It's also sticking out the bottom quite a bit, so I'm gonna have to fix it. Okay, so these rudders will work if they're way out here, so I decided, yeah, that's good enough. It doesn't make any sense at all, but it's gonna be fine. This has got to be the worst one of the 3 so far. I can't believe it's this bad, but I am trying. I'm gonna give it spider eyes because that fixes everything, as we found out by the showcase. Alright, I think that's it for this one. The Aqua Boy, it actually only weighs 769 kilos, which is pretty darn light. So to have 42 horsepower and also be an amphibious car, I think this one is pretty darn good. Now let's go ahead and try it out in Beam. Alright, time for the Aqua Boy to shine. This one should theoretically not be able to do its job at all, but we'll give it a try anyways. 40 something horsepower was it, I believe? That's not much, but let's give it a go. Rear wheel drive. I'm just gonna drive over to the water and then we'll give it a plunge. Okay, this is not exactly blisteringly quick. I guess I probably should have anticipated that. It's actually really, really slow. You know, I didn't adjust the spacing on any of these cars, which I'm now realizing is a terrible mistake. Alright, here's the water. Let's see if we can't just give it a bit of a running start. And... oh, okay, it's in the water. That's a good start. It's slowly flooding with water. That's, oh no, it broke. You know what? I think my mistake there was I went right into the shallow end first. I think we need to take it in the deep end to begin with. So let me just go ahead and try that. Oh, never mind. I'm gonna get stuck in the mud here. Alright, here we go. Deep water. This is exactly what you wanted, right? And... yeah, I'm gonna say that was not exactly successful. Yeah, you know what? I don't really know what to say about this. Personally, I think that the yellow car came out the best, but it's also the one I spent the most time on. This is an order of build here, from first over on this side to last, but it's also an order of how much time I spent on them. Like this car over here I spent the most time on, followed by this, and then at the end I was kind of like, oh man, I've already been recording this for a long time, so I need to speed up. But there you go. That's 3 very different builds in the same video. So yeah, let me know what you think of this format. Let me know what you think of this video. Which car do you like the most? Is it the yellow one, the blue one, or the white one? Because I forgot their names already. That's what happens when you give them complicated non-names as names. I've got some people I'd like to thank. First of all, Canadian Steel, Overlord, Dr. Ivo, That Riced Out Explorer, Cutie Bear, Terry Williams, The Most Random Person, Sick D Cars and Stuff, Boris Ramirez, Jug MBH, I don't know if I'm going to be able to say that one, and then Jacob said. Thank you to all of you for the support. Appreciate everybody a lot. Those of you who watched all the way to the end here, you may as well subscribe. I'm going to continue to make content like this, so yeah. Thank you everybody. See you again next time.